Beloved brethren, let us consider the wisdom of restraint, for not all that stirs within the heart is meant to be spoken. There is a sacredness to silence, a holiness to discretion, and a divine purpose in withholding what God has entrusted to the secret chambers of your soul. In an age where words flow freely and privacy is often sacrificed, let us return to the ancient paths of wisdom and reverence. Sacred communion with God is a gift beyond measure, a personal treasure bestowed upon the believer to deepen their faith and transform their soul. These moments, born in the quiet places of prayer and reflection, are not meant for the eyes or ears of others, but are reserved for the divine intimacy between the Creator and His creation. The Scriptures remind us that the Father, who sees in secret, rewards openly. This profound truth underscores the sacredness of keeping these moments private, allowing them to remain untainted by the distractions of the world. When you enter into prayer, it is as though you step into the Holy of Holies, where the presence of God meets you in stillness and reverence. These are moments when the noise of life fades, and the whispers of His Spirit speak to the deepest parts of your being. To share such experiences lightly or boastfully diminishes their sanctity, turning what is holy into mere words for human ears. It is here that humility takes root, as you recognize that your communion with God is a privilege granted by grace, not a platform for self-exaltation. The intimacy of sacred communion also serves to strengthen your faith. In these moments you are reminded of God's sovereignty, His love, and His unchanging nature. This personal connection is the anchor that holds you firm amidst the storms of life. To share these encounters too freely risks subjecting them to the skepticism or misunderstanding of others, potentially diluting the faith they were meant to inspire. Guarding these experiences allows them to grow within you, shaping your character and deepening your trust in the Lord. Moreover, sacred communion with God is where He imparts wisdom and guidance. His voice is often heard in the stillness, offering clarity and direction for your path. These divine instructions are meant for your obedience, not public debate. Like Moses descending from Mount Sinai, you carry the weight of what God has revealed, knowing that it is not for your glory but for His purposes. By keeping these moments private, you ensure that His guidance remains untainted by the opinions or agendas of others. The sacredness of these moments also protects them from becoming routine or mechanical. When shared too often, the personal nature of your communion with God can be overshadowed by the desire for validation or approval from others. True communion is not a performance but a relationship, one that flourishes in the hidden places of your heart. It is here, away from the gaze of others, that your love for God grows pure and unencumbered by external influences. Keeping your sacred communion private also protects it from being misunderstood or trivialized. The world often fails to grasp the depth and beauty of a relationship with God, viewing it through a lens of skepticism or indifference. By guarding these moments, you preserve their sanctity and shield them from being reduced to mere anecdotes or explanations that fail to capture their divine significance. In the end, sacred communion with God is a reminder of His nearness and His desire for a personal relationship with each of His children. It is a space where burdens are lifted, faith is renewed, and love is poured out in abundance. These moments are not for display but for transformation, shaping you into the image of Christ and equipping you to walk faithfully in His ways. Let your sacred communion remain a treasure hidden in the depths of your heart. It is in these hidden places that God does His greatest work, molding you, guiding you, and preparing you for the calling He has placed upon your life. Protect these moments with reverence, and let them be the wellspring from which your faith flows, unshaken and unwavering. Future plans are often the seeds of divine inspiration planted in the heart by God Himself. These plans, born of prayerful consideration and trust in His guidance, are tender and vulnerable in their early stages. Prematurely sharing them can expose these fragile dreams to the harsh elements of doubt, interference, or discouragement, potentially hindering their growth and fulfillment. Guarding your plans in their infancy is an act of wisdom and faith, trusting that God will bring them to fruition in His perfect timing. When we share our plans too soon, we risk inviting the skepticism of others. Even well-meaning individuals may cast doubt on the feasibility or wisdom of our intentions, causing us to second-guess the very vision God has placed in our hearts. Their words, though not malicious, can plant seeds of uncertainty that grow into fear or hesitation. Keeping our plans between ourselves and God allows them to mature without the influence of external opinions. Interference is another danger of prematurely revealing future plans. People, even with the best intentions, may try to impose their own ideas or agendas onto what God has called us to do. This interference can distort the original vision, leading us away from the path God intended. By keeping our plans private, we protect the purity of the calling and remain focused on His direction rather than the voices of others. Discouragement often follows when plans are shared too early. Not everyone will understand or support the vision God has given us, and their lack of enthusiasm can dampen our own resolve. Words of doubt or indifference can weigh heavily on the heart, making us question whether we heard God correctly. By withholding our plans until they are firmly established, we shield ourselves from the discouragement that might otherwise derail our progress. Sharing plans prematurely can also expose them to spiritual opposition. The enemy seeks to thwart the purposes of God, and revealing our intentions too soon can make them vulnerable to attack. Keeping our plans private allows us to pray over them, seeking God's protection and strength as we move forward. This spiritual covering is essential in ensuring that the plans align with His will and withstand the challenges that may arise. Patience is a virtue that plays a crucial role in guarding future plans. Trusting in God's timing requires us to resist the urge to seek validation or approval from others. When we wait on the Lord, we demonstrate faith in His sovereignty and wisdom, knowing that He will open the right doors at the right time. This patience allows us to prepare our hearts and minds for the work ahead, ensuring that we are ready to step into His plans when the moment comes. Keeping future plans private also allows them to develop naturally. Like a seed planted in the soil, these plans need time to grow and take root before they can bear fruit. Sharing them prematurely is like exposing a seedling to harsh weather before it is strong enough to endure. By nurturing our plans in the quiet of God's presence, we give them the opportunity to grow strong and resilient. In the process of guarding our plans, we learn to rely more fully on God. When we resist the urge to share, we turn to Him for affirmation and guidance, deepening our relationship with Him. This dependence strengthens our faith and ensures that our plans remain aligned with His purposes. It is in this sacred space of trust and reliance that our plans are refined and perfected according to His will. Finally, protecting our future plans honors the sanctity of the vision God has given us. It acknowledges that the calling is not for public consumption but for His glory. By keeping these plans close to our hearts, we demonstrate a reverence for the work He is doing in and through us. This reverence keeps our focus on Him, ensuring that our steps are ordered by His hand and that the plans He has for us prosper according to His design. Personal struggles are a sacred part of the human experience, often meant to draw us closer to God. These burdens, though heavy, are not always meant to be shared with others. There are struggles that belong solely in the secret place of prayer, where we can pour out our hearts to God, who alone understands the depth of our pain and the intricacies of our circumstances. Bringing these struggles to Him rather than airing them publicly honors His role as our ultimate comforter and sustainer. When we share our struggles indiscriminately, we risk misunderstanding or judgment from others. People may not grasp the full context of our situation, leading to advice or opinions that are not rooted in God's wisdom. Instead of finding relief, we may feel more burdened by their responses. By keeping certain struggles private, we protect ourselves from the confusion or discouragement that can arise from human perspectives. Sharing personal struggles openly can sometimes lead to a loss of dignity or vulnerability that is difficult to recover from. The world is not always a compassionate place, and not everyone will handle our pain with care. Some may exploit our vulnerability, using it against us in ways we cannot foresee. Taking these struggles to God ensures that they are met with understanding grace and the assurance of His unfailing love. Certain struggles are meant to refine our character in solitude. God often uses these moments of private wrestling to teach us patience, humility, and reliance on Him. When we bring our burdens to Him alone, we create space for His transformative work to take place. These lessons are deeply personal and can be hindered if we seek validation or solutions from others instead of from Him. Carrying personal struggles to God fosters a deeper intimacy with Him. It is in these private moments of prayer and surrender that we come to know Him as our refuge and strength. The act of entrusting our pain to Him, without seeking human validation, deepens our faith and strengthens our relationship with Him. This intimacy becomes a source of peace and assurance, even in the midst of the storm. Publicly airing personal struggles can also distract from the true source of healing. While sharing with others can sometimes bring temporary relief, it is God who ultimately provides the comfort and resolution we need. By turning to Him first, we acknowledge His sovereignty and trust in His ability to work all things together for our good. This trust allows us to wait on His timing and direction, rather than seeking immediate answers from others. Keeping personal struggles private also protects the integrity of our witness. The way we handle adversity speaks volumes about our faith. When we carry our burdens with quiet confidence in God, we demonstrate a trust in His provision that can inspire others. Publicly airing struggles, especially in a way that seeks pity or attention, can detract from this testimony and shift the focus away from God's faithfulness. There is wisdom in discerning which struggles to share and with whom. While God may place trusted individuals in our lives to offer support and counsel, not every burden is meant for public airing. Prayerful discernment helps us determine when to seek human support and when to take our burdens directly to God. This balance ensures that we remain rooted in His guidance while also benefiting from the community He provides. Generosity, when practiced in its purest form, is an act of worship directed toward God. It reflects a heart aligned with His will, seeking to honor Him rather than gain recognition from others. The truest expression of giving is one that is done in secret, where the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing, as Jesus taught. This kind of humility ensures that our motives are pure and our actions are pleasing to God. Private generosity also deepens your relationship with God. It creates a sacred connection between you and Him as you entrust your resources to His purposes. In these moments of quiet giving, you are reminded that all you have comes from Him, and you are merely a steward of His blessings. This perspective fosters gratitude and dependence on Him, allowing your faith to grow. Keeping acts of generosity private prevents the risk of diminishing their impact. When giving is done for public recognition, it often loses its authenticity and spiritual power. True generosity, however, flows from a heart transformed by God's love and seeks to glorify Him alone. This kind of giving touches lives in profound ways, often in ways unseen and immeasurable. Generosity done in secret also cultivates a spirit of humility within you. It reminds you that giving is not about you, but about serving God and others. This humility guards your heart against pride and keeps you grounded in the truth that it is God who enables you to give. As you practice this kind of giving, you grow in Christ-likeness, reflecting His selfless nature. Acts of giving that remain between you and God also demonstrate trust in His provision. By giving without seeking anything in return, you affirm your belief that God is your ultimate provider. This trust frees you from the fear of lack and allows you to give generously, knowing that He will supply all your needs according to His riches in glory. Finally, private generosity reflects the heart of Christ, who gave Himself for us in the ultimate act of love and sacrifice. His example teaches us that true giving is selfless and sacrificial, done out of love for God and others. When your generosity mirrors His, it becomes a powerful testimony of His grace and a reflection of His kingdom on earth. Private convictions, those deep spiritual revelations or personal insights given by God, often serve as a means for personal edification and growth. These convictions are unique to your walk with God, designed to shape your character, refine your faith, and draw you closer to Him. sharing them prematurely or indiscriminately can dilute their impact or invite unnecessary scrutiny. When God imparts a conviction, it often comes with a purpose tailored specifically to your journey. These insights are like seeds planted in the soil of your heart, requiring time to grow and bear fruit. Publicly discussing them before they mature can expose them to misunderstanding or criticism, which might hinder their growth. By keeping these revelations private, you allow God to nurture them in His perfect timing. There is wisdom in discerning when and with whom to share your spiritual convictions. Not everyone will understand or appreciate the significance of what God has revealed to you. Some may even dismiss or challenge your experience, leading to doubt or discouragement. By keeping these matters private, you safeguard your faith from unnecessary opposition and allow God to strengthen you in quiet confidence. Private convictions also encourage humility. When God reveals something to you, it is not for boasting or self-exaltation, but for your spiritual growth and His glory. Sharing such revelations indiscriminately can sometimes stem from a desire for validation or recognition. Keeping them private helps you remain humble, acknowledging that these insights are gifts from God meant to transform you. Additionally, private convictions often require obedience and action before they are shared. God may be calling you to change, repent, or step out in faith based on what He has revealed. Acting on these convictions in private allows you to focus on aligning your life with His will without the distraction of external opinions. This process deepens your dependence on Him and strengthens your spiritual resolve. Keeping spiritual convictions private also fosters a deeper trust in God. It demonstrates your willingness to let Him guide your path without seeking human approval or affirmation. This trust allows God to work in your life in ways that are unseen but profoundly transformative as He shapes you according to His purposes. There is also a protective aspect to keeping convictions private. Spiritual revelations can be vulnerable and precious, and sharing them carelessly can expose them to ridicule or trivialization. By keeping them between you and God, you create a safe space for these insights to grow and flourish, free from external interference. Finally, private convictions are often preparatory for greater works. God may be using these revelations to equip you for a future calling or challenge. Keeping them private allows Him to complete His work in you without distraction. When the time is right, He will provide the opportunity and wisdom to share your convictions in a way that glorifies Him and edifies others.